Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Raccoon Tycoon by Forbidden Games.
Raccoon Tycoon is a game in which you are going to be selling commodities based on a variable price market that is going to fluctuate up and down throughout the course of the game, but trying to use the wealth that you make from that to buy railroads, buy towns, purchase buildings, ultimately trying to have the most points at the end of the game. We are going to go down below, show you how this game works, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, here's Raccoon Tycoon on the table. Let me show you guys how this commodity adjustable market game works. And you're going to be buying and purchasing things throughout the course of this game, trying to play the market a little bit up here on the top portion of the board. And you have some cards and tiles in the game that you will be purchasing along the way to earn victory points and hopefully win. And you do have paper money in this game, but I do want to point out that the paper money is not paper. Although it may be paper, but it is nice quality here. It's not like your paper money that you see in Monopoly. This is a higher quality here. So, and it obviously comes in 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, and 100s. So in this game, oh, and you do have some resource tokens in the game. We'll keep that off to the side, but just note that these are the resources up here. You've got your wheat, wood, iron, coal, goods, and luxury. And each of these tracks represents how much that commodity is worth at that particular time. And at the beginning of the game, all of them start at the very bottom. Now, what you will be doing in this game, it's very simple. You want to sell your goods when they are high so that you can earn lots of money to be able to purchase towns, railroads, and buildings for the most victory points at the end of the game. Starting with the first player, you will have one action on your turn. These are the things that you could do on your turn. You could play a price and production card. You will have 3 of these in your hand at all times, and you can choose one to play. There are going to be 2 things that happen when you play one of these cards. Let's take a look at this card right here. You can see there's 2 halves to the card. You've got a price and production. The price is going to tell you which commodities are going to increase in value. So for instance, the wheat and the wood. So we would raise both of those 1 notch. And so both of them have now become $2 instead of just $1 for each. The production is going to show you a number of goods that you can produce on this turn. Now you can only pick 3 out of the ones that are shown. Some cards will only have 3, some may have more, like this card here has 4, and you can choose out of the ones that are shown 3 items to keep. So for instance, we could take 2 iron and a coal, we could take an iron, a coal, and a good. You get the idea. Now, you can only have 10 goods at any time, and you keep track of your goods by taking the tokens here that obviously are the same pictures as the ones that were on the card. So that is the price and production card. As soon as you play one of these, you draw a new one from this deck right here, and if it ever runs out, you just reshuffle the ones that have been played. Another option is you can sell a good. So you can see here how these are tracking the price of the goods throughout the course of the game and how they increase based off of the price and production cards that have been played. If I wanted to, I could sell my iron on my turn, and I can sell any number that I have. So let's pretend that I have 3 iron to sell, and I would sell them for $7 a piece, meaning I would get $21. And because I sold 3, I would lower this 3. So 1, 2, 3, and now the price of iron is only $4 per iron. That is how selling goods works, and obviously I would get my money from the bank over here on this side. Another option is that I can start an auction for a railroad. There are always going to be 2 railroads up here in the market, and they're going to be different sets. So we've got the Sly Fox set, the Skunk Works set, and there are several other sets such as the Tycoon Railroad set and the Top Dog Railroad, and there's other ones in here. But what you're looking at on this card, there's 2 things. This number right here is going to tell you the minimum opening bid. You are going to be bidding for these types of cards, these railroad cards, and so whoever starts the auction has to bid at least that much. They can bid more if they want to, but then it goes around the table one at a time, and each person deciding whether they want to bid higher than the previous person or if they want to pass. And if you pass, you're out for the rest of that auction. Whoever ends up winning the auction claims the card, and this is going to be set collection. So if I only have one top dog railroad, it's going to give me 4 points at the end of the game. 2 would give me 9, 3, 15, and a set of 4 would give me 23 points. Now, if you're only playing with 2 players, it's a little bit different. The person who starts the auction gets 1 bid and 1 bid only to bid anything they want, at least this much, but you probably want to bid more. And then the other player decides if they want to bid higher than that, at which point the auction would end and the second player would get the card, or they could pass and it would be the first player's card. So auctions work a lot quicker in a 2-player game. So that is another option you could do on your turn. Another option is to purchase a town. So you are going to have a deck of town cards, and they are going to be stacked where you have your towns that are worth 2 victory points on top of the ones that are worth 3, which are on top of the ones for 4, which are on top of the ones for 5. And so the 2 victory point cards, such as Beaver Ford here, they are going to be easier to obtain than your 5-point victory cards. You can buy Beaver Ford here by turning in 2 wood or 4 of any kind. This is either or. I know that or is very small here. You don't have to pay everything. It's one or the other. But if you do that, then you get to claim Beaver Ford, and it's worth 2 points, and then the next card would come out. Now, at the end of the game, not only are you going to get the victory points that are on these cards, but you will get an additional 2 victory points for every pair of these cards that you have. So you do want to diversify and make sure that you get both railroads and towns. The last thing that you could do on your turn is purchase a building tile. You can see here that I'm going to scoot the board up a little bit. There is a small market of building tiles out here. You do pay the cost here in the bottom right, and it will be something that you get to keep till the end of the game. This particular one, the Vineyard, anytime that I were to play a price and production card that produced luxury items, the little bottle of wine here, such as this card. If I had the Vineyard, I could claim 2 luxury items. I get the one from the card plus 1 from my building tile. Now, I am limited to 10 total. I can never have more than 10, but my extra one does not count towards my 3 that come from this card. I can take this one. That would be 1 from the 3 that I get from the card plus an extra one. Now, if I wanted to, these building tiles, some of them have a backside that you can upgrade. If I ever pay this cost on my turn, this would be my action, paying $15 to upgrade my vineyard to a glassworks, and now I will get 2 luxury items instead of just 1. Not all the tiles work that way, though. You can see here the factory is going to increase the production that I get from cards from 3 to 5 items. But it does cost 40 points here. Here's another example. The smuggler here is going to increase my hand size to 4. The goods luxury trading farm, anytime someone sells either goods or luxury items, and regardless of who it is, if I own this tile, I get $1 per good or luxury that they sell. Myself included. And here's another example. The export company increases the price of a commodity $3 before selling. So if I were to sell my goods, for instance, they would be $8 rather than $5. Now, also, buildings are worth 1 victory point at the end of the game, so you are going to want to try and purchase these, not just for their abilities, but also the victory points. Now, the game is going to end if at any point you do not have enough cards to refill the market and you do not have another town to come out. If either one of those happen, then the game will end and you will finish that round, and then you will count up victory points to see who is the winner. Whoever has the most wins, and that is how you play Raccoon Tycoon. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Raccoon Tycoon from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective while you check out some gameplay footage. So Sam, initial impression seeing this out on the table, you've got these different tracks for the commodities, cards, tiles. What'd you think about this one, seeing it on the table?
There's a lot going on with this one. I think it was a little bit overwhelming trying to think about how each piece was gonna, play together.
I think, yeah. So looking at the board initially, when I see it as a gamer and seeing how there are these different tracks for each of the different commodities, it does look to be a heavier game than maybe what it actually is. Because in actuality, I don't think this is a very heavy game at all. Once you understand, okay, each of these tracks is just telling me how much each of these will give me if I sell them. The cards are just either railroads or towns, and the tiles are just buildings. I think it's a deceiving game. It's definitely not nearly as heavy as what it would look.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Okay. Now, we don't typically play too many market games on Love to Hate, just simply for the fact that we're looking more at lighter family weight games, and there's just tends not to be very many of those type of games in that range. So this being a unique game, a unique experience, what was it like for you playing this type of game?
I thought it was good. It took me a little bit to kind of get my bearings, but I think once you realize the pattern of the game, and I do like that you do get a lot of money. Like, it's not...
Yeah, you do.
And I think that's satisfying, that you're not just getting $1 here and $1 there. You have... I mean, I ended with over $100 in my game, and I there's something to be said about that. I think it makes it feel like you're really
a tycoon.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that I picked up on as well, that you're just kind of wheeling and dealing throughout this game, buying buildings, selling the coal, selling the iron for $10 a piece, whatever, and you're just buying up all these things. You really kind of get the feel of being this tycoon who's got some abundance of wealth. You can do whatever you want. There's some fun in that, because it really feels like on every turn I can make something big happen to gain some points, and sometimes a lot of points. At the same time, I felt it maybe a little too free-flowy for my liking, in the sense that I could do just about anything I wanted on my turn. What do you think? Did you pick up on that at all?
Yeah, there was a lot of options that you had. There wasn't a pattern to, you have to do this first and then this. You get to do whatever you wanted, which, I mean, works for a tycoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't any strict rules for...
Yeah, in fact, the only thing that I ever felt like that really restricted me, other than you and any other player getting the buildings or the cards that I wanted first, was that you're limited to only having 10 resources.
Yeah.
You can't have more than 10 resources. And I felt like that was the most restrictive thing in the game, because there would be plenty of times where I wanted to get a town that required 4 luxury items.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out a way to be able to get myself to have 4 luxury items in one turn. Like, I would have to sell something and then play a card, and then I would have what I need, and then I could get the building.
Yeah, it's multiple turns, and by that point, something else has happened.
Exactly.
To gain your attention. Like, maybe I have 3, but they're up to $10 each.
Exactly.
So I better sell them.
That happened several times, and yeah, you kind of start with an idea of what you want to do, and then things change, and you're like, well, but this is actually a better thing for me to do now, so I'm just going to abandon that plan. That happens a lot in this game. And so even the thing that kind of restricts you doesn't restrict you completely, if that makes sense. So
doesn't stop you from playing.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about just, you being a non-gamer and this being a different kind of game for us, and the complexity level of it looking intimidating, but it not really being too much, I don't think. Overall, is this one that you think works well for non-gamers or casual gamers?
I think so, yeah. I think it is simple enough. It does have some complexities to it, and I think with a theme like this, you have to kind of understand, why am I buying? Like, it took me a while. Why do I want a railroad? What's the benefit here? Why do I want this factory? So I kept having to ask, like, why, what's this going to get me? Because I didn't understand how it affected the end game.
Yeah.
But it wasn't hard. It was just figuring out how everything worked together.
And you do, this is a little bit of a point salad, because you are getting points from a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
You get them from railroads, towns, pairs of railroads and towns, your buildings.
I think after playing once, I would probably have done things differently. I had a card that I spent a lot of money on that gave me a point for every $20 I had at the end. But in the end, I could have spent that money on other things and still gotten
more points along the way. Yeah, exactly.
So Yeah.
All right, let's get to our pros and cons for Raccoon Tycoon and talk about what we like and don't like. So, Sam, let's start with the pros on this game. What stood out to you in a positive way?
I mean, it's easy to get points. It's easy to get money. You feel good because you're getting things with each turn. So I think that is going to make a non-gamer feel like, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing something. I'm getting something. You're not having to wait for that result.
There's very few empty turns.
Yeah.
You're building and moving for, the ultimate goal with each and every turn, and it definitely feels like you're accomplishing something, right? Yeah, for sure. What else?
I thought the components were really good. It was fun to see like the little wine bottle and the little coal, and I thought that they did a really good job. The whole development of it is really well. The artwork is really good.
Yeah, the artworok is fantastic with this
so
one.
it does draw you in with those components of it.
Yeah, and normally I'm not a huge fan of animals looking human-like. But they're very realistically, the artwork is very realistically done, and I'm okay with it with this game.
Yeah.
Cats wearing hats and dogs carrying pickaxes and whatnot. I don't know. But no, the production on this game was very good, very nicely done. I know paper money can be kind of a thing that some people have an aversion to because it looks and feels like Monopoly. But the paper money in this is not really paper as much as it is kind of almost plasticky like, which may sound like even more negative, but in this case it worked. I liked it better in this game, so no issues there with that. It is a game that you can play one or two turns, and then I really start to think people understand the concept and everything of what you're trying to do and what's available to you on your turn. You're either playing a card and moving some things around and getting more resources, or you're selling resources, or you're buying something on the board, right? I mean, those are your options. So you can get into this game fairly quickly. So what maybe doesn't work for you with this game?
I wouldn't say doesn't work, but I think something to be aware of is you could be sitting there collecting coal, and then somebody else goes, and that coal goes from $10 to $3.
Yeah.
And that changes. You have to be flexible, and I can't imagine playing with 3, 4, or 5 people. One person, I'm just competing against him, so I have a good chance of him not going for what I'm going for. And I'm not very good about paying attention of what he's doing or what he's collecting. I'm very focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So when he pulled that a couple times, and that's frustrating.
You do have to be observant of what other resources other players are stockpiling. And again, you can only have 10 resources, so it's not a huge thing. But it is a thing that can definitely disrupt a turn for you, especially if you needed that money to be able to buy the thing you needed on your next turn, and now I'm not getting anywhere close to how much money I thought I was.
Yeah,
that can definitely be a factor with this particular one. Anything else that stands out to you in a negative way?
I think we were kind of done maybe 2 rounds before it was over. There's a lot of cards to get through, and that's mostly because we did play with 2 people. It would have gone a lot faster with 3, 4, or 5.
Well, you do add more cards to the deck in 3, 4, and 5 players.
But it is a lot of cards to make it through. So, I mean, maybe overstayed its welcome a little bit.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think the game definitely you can sort of see how it's going to end. Even though you can't really, count. I mean, I guess you could try to keep track of the other people's points throughout the course of the game. It's still a little bit of a mystery as to what all they're getting points from. But you can sort of know before it's over, I think anyway, how it might turn out. And you're kind of just maybe going through the motions a little bit there towards the end.
He knew he won.
Well, I'm just trying to say that I think you can see I've got 8 buildings, you've got 6. And I know I've already got 2 more points on you on that. And I've got 5 railroads, you've got 3. And you can sort of see that kind of aspect of it.
I was more into getting resources than I was buying buildings.
But what I'm trying to say is I think there could be more ways for the game to end rather than it just being based off of the deck running out.
Yeah.
Now, I will say the rule book has a variant in it, which I absolutely love. Which is that if any player gets to $1,000, they immediately win the game, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that, and I would play with that rule every single time I play this game because I want to try to go for it and see if it can be done. Because I think the most money I ever had throughout the course of the game was only like $120 or so.
I had up to 200.
But yeah, if you can do that, and you got to be sneaky about it, which you don't want to be, just getting money. You want to be sneaky about it and slowly get there, but get there.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. So
yeah.
All right, let's get to our scores for this game. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. Where does this particular game come in at?
It was pretty good. I'd probably give it a 7.4.
Okay. All right. One that you would be willing to play again?
Yeah, I'd play it again.
Okay. For me, so I've got mixed feelings about this game. There are some things that I like. I don't know if there's anything that I absolutely love about this game, but I think what I ultimately want to say on it is you can find this game at a lot of local targets here in the States. And it's the perfect kind of game to be on the shelves at Target as an introductory to kind of marketing type games where you've got these variable prices and you got to play with those prices and sell high, buy low kind of idea, even though you don't buy low in this game, but you definitely want to sell high. I think that's a perfect spot for it to be to get into people's homes is on a shelf at Target. For me, there's a lot of things that feel a little light for me. It does feel like it overstays its welcome, like Sam said. I would like to see a little more variance in the game, maybe some player abilities or maybe some additional cards that let me take another turn or just some kind of thing to disrupt the typical pattern that goes throughout the course of the game. But as it is, it's a fine game. I'm going to give it a 6.8. It's a game that I think there's a lot of good things about it. Not too many great things, but I think it's a solid game. So 6.8 on it for me. And that's our thoughts on Raccoon Tycoon. It is from Forbidden Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.